Rain fell in sheets, casting a veil of darkness over the sprawling grounds of Blackwood Manor. Sarah, a young journalist, had been assigned to investigate the infamous estate, rumored to be haunted by the ghosts of its past inhabitants. As she approached the imposing iron gates, a sense of unease settled over her like a shroud. Ignoring the warnings of locals, Sarah pressed on, her determination outweighing her fear. The gravel path leading to the manor was slick with rain, and each step seemed to echo in the oppressive silence that surrounded her. Finally, she reached the front door, its ancient wood warped and weathered with age. With trembling hands, she pushed it open, the hinges groaning in protest. The foyer beyond was dimly lit, shadows dancing in the flickering candlelight. As Sarah ventured deeper into the manor, she felt a chill run down her spine, a sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. She brushed it off as mere superstition, determined to uncover the truth behind the rumors that had plagued Blackwood Manor for generations. But as she delved deeper into her investigation, strange occurrences began to plague her every step. Objects moved of their own accord, whispers echoed through the empty halls, and the temperature plummeted inexplicably. It was as if the very walls of the manor were alive with a malevolent energy, feeding off her fear. One night, as Sarah huddled in the darkness of her room, the storm outside reached its peak, unleashing its fury upon Blackwood Manor. Thunder rattled the windows, and lightning illuminated the sky in blinding flashes. And amidst the chaos, she heard it, a soft, plaintive wail, like the cry of a lost soul. Driven by a mixture of fear and curiosity, Sarah followed the sound, her heart pounding in her chest. It led her to the attic, a forgotten chamber steeped in shadows and cobwebs. There, she found a single candle burning, its flickering flame casting eerie shadows on the walls. And in the center of the room stood a figure, shrouded in darkness and sorrow. It was the ghost of Eleanor Blackwood, the last mistress of the manor, her spirit bound to this earthly plane by the tragedies of her past. As Sarah gazed into Eleanor's eyes, she felt a sense of empathy wash over her, a connection that transcended the boundaries of life and death. She realized then that the spirits that haunted Blackwood Manor were not malevolent beings, but lost souls seeking redemption. With a heavy heart, Sarah vowed to help Eleanor find peace, to unravel the mysteries that had bound her to this place for so long. And as she made her way back to her room, she felt a sense of purpose fill her soul, a determination to uncover the truth behind the haunting of Blackwood Manor once and for all. For she knew that as long as the rain continued to fall, the secrets of the past would remain buried, waiting to be unearthed by those brave enough to seek them out. And she would be that person, come hell or high water. Thunder rumbled now and then with sparks of lightning. Rain poured down in torrents, drenching the streets of the city in a shimmering sheen. Detective Jack Harris navigated the slick sidewalks, his trench coat pulled tight against the biting wind. He had seen his fair share of dark nights, but something about this one felt different, charged with an electric tension that prickled at his senses. As he rounded a corner, Jack caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of his eye. He froze, his hand instinctively reaching for the revolver tucked into his belt. But before he could react, a figure emerged from the shadows, its face obscured by a hooded cloak. "Detective Harris," a voice whispered, low and rasping. "I have information you seek." Jack tensed, his muscles coiled like a spring ready to snap. "Who are you? What do you want?" But the figure merely chuckled, a sound that sent a chill down Jack's spine. "All in good time, detective. But first, you must follow me." With a mixture of apprehension and curiosity, Jack trailed after the mysterious stranger, his footsteps echoing in the empty streets. They wound their way through the labyrinthine alleyways, the rain drumming a steady beat against the pavement. Finally, they reached their destination, an abandoned warehouse looming like a specter in the night. Jack's hand tightened around the grip of his revolver as they entered, the musty air heavy with the scent of decay. Inside, the stranger revealed himself to be a man cloaked in shadows, his features obscured by darkness. "I know why you're here, detective," he said, his voice a mere whisper on the wind. "You seek answers, and I can provide them. But first you must pay the price." Jack's pulse quickened as he braced himself for whatever was to come. "What price?" The man smiled, a cold and calculating gleam in his eyes. "Your past, detective. It haunts you, gnawing at the edges of your conscience. Face it, and you shall find what you seek." With a sinking feeling in the pit of his stomach, Jack realized that the man spoke the truth. The memories he had long buried resurfaced, raw and unyielding, threatening to consume him whole. But Jack was no stranger to darkness. With steely resolve, he confronted his demons head-on, reliving the horrors of his past with a courage he never knew he possessed. And in that moment of reckoning, the shadows that had plagued him for so long began to recede, dissipating like mist in the morning sun. With newfound clarity, Jack turned to the man before him, his gaze unwavering. "Now," he said, his voice steady as steel, "tell me what you know." The man nodded, a knowing smile playing at the corners of his lips. "There is a darkness looming over this city, detective. A darkness that threatens to consume us all. But with your help, we may yet prevail." With a sense of purpose burning in his chest, Jack set out into the night, ready to confront whatever challenges lay ahead. For he knew that as long as there were shadows to be vanquished, there would always be someone to stand against them. And he would be that someone, come hell or high water. It started like any other rainy evening. The storm had been raging for hours, and the ominous atmosphere seemed to seep into every corner of my secluded cottage nestled deep within the woods, and the pitter-patter of raindrops echoed through the empty rooms, and the occasional clap of thunder sent shivers down my spine. As I sat alone in my study, lost in the pages of a gripping novel, a sudden chill crept into the room, causing me to shiver involuntarily. I glanced around, but the fire crackled steadily in the hearth, casting dancing shadows across the walls. Brushing off the feeling of unease, I returned my focus to the book, hoping to distract myself from the eerie sensation that lingered in the air. But then I heard it. A faint scratching noise, barely audible over the din of the storm. My heart skipped a beat as I strained to identify the source of the sound. Was it merely the branches of nearby trees scraping against the window, or something far more sinister lurking in the darkness? With trembling hands, I reached for the lamp beside me, casting its warm glow into the dimly lit room. Shadows danced and swayed, their movements seeming to take on a life of their own. I shook my head, chiding myself for succumbing to irrational fears. It was just the storm playing tricks on my mind, I assured myself. But as the scratching grew louder, my rationalizations faltered. It was coming from the attic, a place I rarely ventured, filled with forgotten relics and dusty memories. Dread coiled in the pit of my stomach as I contemplated investigating the source of the disturbance, but something compelled me to ascend the creaking staircase, step by agonizing step. The air grew colder with each passing moment, and a sense of foreboding settled over me like a suffocating shroud. With a trembling hand, I pushed open the attic door, revealing a scene bathed in moonlight filtered through the rain-soaked windows. Dust motes danced in the pale glow, casting eerie shadows upon the walls. And there, in the corner of the room, stood a figure cloaked in darkness, a silhouette so indistinct it seemed to blend seamlessly with the night itself. I froze, my breath catching in my throat as I watched in horror as the figure turned towards me, its eyes gleaming with malevolent intent. A guttural moan escaped my lips as I stumbled backward, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. But the figure advanced, its movements fluid and deliberate, as if guided by some unseen force. Panic surged through me, urging me to flee, but my limbs refused to obey. I stood rooted to the spot, helpless against the encroaching darkness. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the figure vanished into thin air, leaving behind nothing but a lingering sense of dread. I collapsed to the floor, gasping for air as reality slowly began to unravel around me. Had it all been a trick of the mind, a manifestation of my deepest fears? Or had I truly come face to face with something beyond comprehension, something lurking in the shadows of the night? As the storm raged on outside, I curled into a ball, seeking refuge in the comforting embrace of darkness. But try as I might, I could not shake the feeling that I was not alone, that somewhere, in the depths of the night, something sinister watched and waited, biding its time until the next rainy evening when it would once again emerge from the shadows.